Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Logan, and today we're going to be looking at the Lilac Lenormand, which is my own creation, so I'm excited to talk about it. So on the back we have "Step into a microcosm of the sweet, the cute, and the nerdy with the Lilac Lenormand," inspired by nature, childhood, and video games. Comes with 38 cards and a chunky little book. Now I will say, even though this deck has a lot of nerdy fantasy video game like Easter eggs in the artwork, you don't need to know any of those references to use the deck or to appreciate the art. It'll work just great for you if you've never touched anime or manga or fantasy novels in your life. It's still a good time. So without further ado, let's get into it. Yeah. So here are the cards. They have these lovely matte lilac edges. And on the card backs, we have these little wisp designs. And you'll kind of see this like little swirly wisp motif throughout the deck too. So we have Skater. This replaces Rider in this deck because it still gives us that forward momentum. And plus I thought it'd be fun to like have a callback to those like childhood days where you would like go to the roller skate rink and chase your friends around and likely fall down if you're a klutz like me to the likes of, Britney Spears or NSYNC, or, if you were in the 80s, it might have been a little bit of a different playlist, but that was me in the 90s. Secondly, we have Clover. I really wanted to stick to a nice, simple, traditional design for this one. I have a tiny little heart design at the center of the plant because I thought that would be cute. And then I added a little ladybug since they're also good luck omens, and we get a lot of good fortune with the clover. Thirdly, we have Boat. For this one, my inspiration was kind of like, what if we had a little green wisp leading this boat across the river or across the water, kind of like mystically. I was inspired a little bit by the ferryman at the River Styx. Their name is slipping my mind at the moment. I'm a little brain-addled today, admittedly, because this is my third time trying to film this, and my cats kept making such a ruckus that literally the camera was shaking. My hand shook a couple times from them running by and bumping the table, so I had to escort them from the premises. They're on the other side of the kitchen door right now in the rest of the house, so I think we can get this done this time. So for house, it's a cute little house, right? It was inspired heavily by Animal Crossing, which is one of my favorite video games, specifically Animal Crossing New Horizon. I like to make my house cards give some sort of cozy vibe, and to me, Animal Crossing is just like the utmost of coziness when it comes to video games. Here we have Tree. This tree was inspired by both the cherry blossom trees in Animal Crossing New Horizon, as well as the Wispy Woods tree boss from the Kirby games, which if you haven't played Kirby, you might have seen from the Super Smash Bros. Games on the Nintendo 64 or any of the later iterations. For clouds, we have this cloudy crystal ball, so it's literally the future is obscured right now, so we're not too sure about what's going to happen. In traditional Lenormand, you will have one side of the clouds featuring dark or stormy clouds, and the other side might be regular, non-stormy clouds, or perhaps they're lit by the sun or something like that. So I did preserve that here. We have a nice bright yellow and pink to this side of the crystal ball, and the clouds on this side are a very much darker purple. And our little video game Easter egg this time is in the crystal ball stand, which the design the design is of Majora's Mask from the Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask game. Because, in that game, everybody's running around freaked out about the future, and the future is very uncertain. Will we be here in this game world in 3 days' time? We literally don't know. So I thought it tied in nicely. Plus, I'm just a Zelda slut. We know this. We on the channel know this. For Snake, I wanted to make it cute and not scary, since I know a lot of people are afraid of snakes. And then also, Western culture, I feel like with Christianity and whatnot, has really shat on snakes and given them a bad rap. So I wanted to make it cute. So I thought, what's the snake that we can all appreciate? It's the danger noodle that you see online, right? The little cute online nickname for snakes. So I was like, what if we made a danger noodle in a literal bowl of noodles? So we have a cute little ramen snake. Here we have Grave, which is this deck's coffin card. It, to me, still fit the bill. We still have something laid to rest. This is still like in memory of something. We could still be grieving something. And that's why I put this red candle in front of the grave, because I wanted it to be like symbolizing the passionate feelings that we have about what we're losing here. There's also writing on the grave, which is in the Gerudo alphabet from the Legend of Zelda games. You can totally find the Gerudo alphabet online and then just hold it up to this card and translate it. All the writing that you see in this deck is the Gerudo alphabet, and it all says stuff. Because I'm a silly, silly goose is what I am. For bouquet, we have Venus flytraps. I've seen a couple people mention that, oh, maybe this is like a gift given with an ulterior motive, since bouquet can often represent gifts or invitations. However, I will say my main motive going in designing this one was not everybody likes roses. What if they're a little bit quirky? What if they want something like a Venus flytrap? What if that's their idea of beauty? So yeah, I just wanted to give something different. I think the traditional floral bouquet cards are stunning and I love them. Like there's a new one in, new at the time of this video, in the Erica's Lenormand of Hope deck that is, oh, be still my heart. It is a gorgeous bouquet, but I don't know, I wanted to play it a little quirky this time. Here we have Knife, which is this deck's Scythe card. I don't think it's a leap to go from Scythe to Knife. Both are sharp and cutting, and you need to handle them with care. As for the design, I was just like, what would a knife made by, a pocket knife, made by like the Mattel company look like? So I had fun with this one. I was also watching a lot of Trixie Mattel videos on YouTube at the time, so, you know, the inspirations are definitely there. For 11, we have Besom. Now, Besom is, you know, like a broom. Broom being a very common alternate card for the whip in Lenormand. You'll see broom, besom, rod. These things all have been used, like historically, to replace the whip card. So I thought besom was a nice little substitute. You know, I don't always want this this very violent, often violent tool that can often represent suffering in my deck. I wanted something a little bit more chill than that, so that's why we have a besom. Birds, I chose to go with cardinals. I love cardinals, and plus my dad always gives me like Yule or Christmas themed gifts around the holidays that are usually cardinal oriented because he knows I love them as well. So this really was like, this was a card from my dad. Not thematically, because it's not the most positive card in the deck, but you know, contextually that can change, I guess. But as far as the subject matter of the actual art itself, it's a nice little moment for him. The child card in this deck is represented by a Game Boy Advance SP. I like using video games and toys and stuff for the child cards in my decks because I think it's fun. I don't want to draw an actual baby or child. I think very few people can draw or paint babies or children and not make them look like creepy little mongrels from hell. It veers into Chucky doll territory a lot of the time, you know? Plus, video games and toys are something that a lot of us associate with children or with childhood and simple joys. And I still experience that same simple joy whenever I play video games now. So for a card that can also, you know, be about going back to those simple, happy joys and the things that bring you, the things that spark joy for you in a really simple way, I thought this worked really well. Here we have Fox, and I based this design off of the mask from the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time games, where there are these yellow foxes called... I am absolutely blanking on the name of the foxes in the game. Oh, you know, you think you have information in your head, you think you know things, and then when you're put on the spot, it's like, maybe I don't know as much as I think I know. But yeah, if you've played Ocarina of Time, you will probably know the foxes. They're also in Majora's Mask. Here we have the bear card, and for this I just wanted to go with a little plush teddy bear, or I guess just a stuffed bear. Is there a difference between a stuffed bear and a teddy bear? I really can't recall. Our nerdy little Easter egg in this one is that at the center of the little bow ribbon, there's a Dragon Ball. You know, a little nod to Dragon Ball Z, all that kind of stuff. Ah, Keton mask. That's what the fox... It's a Keton mask. I knew I would remember at some point. So yeah, I used the Keton mask for the fox card because the Keton are like a fox race in the Zelda games. For the star card, we have this star-shaped compass, which is a nod to Sailor Moon. There are a couple nods to Sailor Moon in here. But yeah, I feel like a compass really illustrates, the kind of guidance and hopefulness that we can associate with the star card. So I thought, regardless of if you know Sailor Moon or not, a compass as the star would be like, okay, yeah, I can work with that. Now this is probably the biggest change in the deck. So 17 is usually Stork. I've turned it into Wand. This is in light of just the magical girl genre of anime and manga in general, but especially Sailor Moon. So, with the stork, I can't talk. With the stork, we usually have that level up aspect, right? Our lives are changing for the better. And then we can also get that migratory return aspects where if something is going away with the ship, it might be returning with the stork. So I chose to illustrate it with a wand because magical girls will use their transformation wands to transform into fantastic heroines, and they will kick demon ass. And then after this beautiful level up and they've, changed for the better and taken care of what needs to be taken care of, they then untransform back into their everyday girl forms. And so I thought that really worked. And also, the stork has a lot of weird baby delivery service lore attached to it that I don't dig, I'm happy for people who want kids. Clearly, that's how I got here. But I don't want them, and I don't want the reminder in all of my decks. So that's why we got a transformation wand. For dog, we have cat. I think that's simple enough to understand. Dogs are fantastic, but so are cats. And we don't get a lot of cats in the Lenormand decks, in my experience. And this cat I wanted to base off of the Pokemon Meowth, which, if you've seen Meowth, you can probably tell it's my spin on it. Here we have tower. I chose to go with a bell tower, sort of abandoned and left out in the dunes. I wanted that sort of abandoned, forgotten tower vibe to speak to the isolation, that aspect that can come along with the tower card. But then I also wanted to bring in playing by the rules and institutions and hierarchy by having it be a bell tower, because bell towers in churches have famously been used to call congregants together whenever it's time to pray or to have service. So you still have that commanding aspect to it. So that's why I went there. For garden, I really wanted to go with a vegetable garden vibe. And so we have 3 little planters. We have a pumpkin here in this one. We have string beans over here. And then we have corn in this one. As a card of networking and community, I wanted to go with the ancient intercropping practice of, I believe it's called the Three Sisters. I'm pretty sure the Three Sisters is the name of the practice. My brain is just very fuzzy today, so my apologies if I miss anything. But this was something invented by the indigenous Mesoamerican people. And so I just thought it was brilliant because, it's a brilliant practice. These 3 crops will nourish and protect and help each other to flourish as they grow. So I thought that really reflected the community that we can experience with the garden card. For the mountain, I just honestly wanted to go with a pretty mountain peak, I put some clouds on it to illustrate how high up this place is, and then the very top of it is snow-capped to further drive that home. Here we have crossroads. I wanted to go with a signpost. I thought it'd be very fun. I think they're kind of romantic anyway, at least where I live in the northeastern US, you don't see signposts like this. So yeah, I don't know. I've always thought they were really cute. And then the ivy growing up it and the butterflies are a reference to the artwork for Tori Amos's Single Tallulah, which love that song and love the artwork. So yeah, that's my nod to that. That's the little Easter egg for that one. I'm a huge Tori Amos fan, so it gave me a lot of joy to work that in there. For mice, we have 3 white mice who are very, very happy that they are getting their pieces of cheese. We have this little one in the back, merrily peeking around, just psyched to be here, so happy, having a good time. We have this one who's feeling very, very celebratory. They feel like the champion, it's a good time. And then this one here is like, yeah, man, I got my cheese. What's good? That's what's good. I got my cheese. So yeah, with some of the cards that are more negative, like mice typically being about like worry or loss, I think it's fun sometimes to give them a cute piece of art to go with it, where it kind of it's still going to sting, but at least we have something to look at that's cute instead of adding to our anxiety, right? Here we have heart, which, can be about love or, getting to the heart of a matter, our core, what's in our hearts. And so I thought the bleeding heart flower would be a really lovely way to illustrate that, because they literally look like a heart that's been cracked open. For ring, which is about commitments and partnerships, it was important to me to play around with the themes of the ring card, which is traditionally very positive. It's usually seen as like an engagement band. I wanted to go with a fairy ring to kind of play with, folklore, to where, at least in certain European countries, I believe, stepping into a fairy ring can basically, enter you into ignorantly, unknowingly, enter you into a relationship with the fair folk. And sometimes they will make you dance until you die. Sometimes they will take you into the fairy realm and years will go by, but it's just been a night for you. And so, a lot of scary, sketchy relationships or pacts or whatnot can be entered into, allegedly, by entering a fairy ring. So I wanted to use something like that to kind of give us a little bit of a neutral vibe for this card, to where it's like, yeah, there's a relationship at play, possibly, but not all relationships or bindings are positive or healthy ones. So that was my thinking with that. For Grimoire, we have this lovely arcane book. This card is traditionally known as book, but, Grimoire is a word a lot of us know. It has a book on the front. It's not a stretch. So the little Easter egg here is that this design on the cover is from the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, which is a action role-playing video game, which I adore. It has some really amazing ambient, like atmospheric, chill music. And there's a college of wizards essentially in the game, and the eyeball with the 5-pointed star is their symbol. And so I was like, you know what, we're going to bring some arcane goodness to this through that. For letter, we have a scroll, which, again, was influenced by the Elder Scrolls, because they are literal scrolls in the game. And the writing is, again, the Gerudo text, which in this case translates to, I'll tell you this much, it translates to Spice Girl lyrics. I won't tell you which ones, but you have that. So instead of a man and a woman card to be our, super strict traditional binary significators for people, we have player 1 and player 2. We have a winter themed one and we have a spring themed one. And there are also 2 more, which are, they sport, you guessed it, autumn theme and summer theme. So basically, you can use these really easily for polyamorous relationships, for like friend group readings and dynamics, because, sometimes you want to read about more than 2 people, so having 4 is nice. I feel like it also opens it up to like workplace dynamics. And then with each controller set being seasonally themed, you can also play around with timing, with that kind of thing. Like with predictive questions, does it have to do with something that'll be happening in the fall or in the spring? I think it opens up some fun possibilities. For lilies, we have water lilies, which are actually not true lilies. Did you know? I didn't know that until recently, but I love them all the same. Love and adore them. Actually, possibly my favorite lilies are all fake lilies, because water lilies are great. Then I'm also a huge fan of lily of the valley, which is not a true lily. Eric Maley's, I think that's how you say his last name. Sorry, Eric, if I got it wrong, if you're watching. His paper oracle Lenormand has Lily of the Valley for the Lily card, and I adore that so much, so much. So here we have the sun, just a very, very bright, bubbly, buoyant energy coming out of this cute little face with rosy cheeks. I wanted it to be so zesty and vibrant that, there's a possibility it could burn us with the intensity of its joy, which, sun, sunburn, you get it, right? Then we have the moon, which is this lovely little rabbit sitting on a like ceramic moon, which is done up in the style of like the Chinese like blue and white pottery style. I wanted to have this as sort of like a little thank you to a lot of East Asian cultures which have inspired me creatively, be that through video games, manga, anime, any of that. And also it's because, the rabbit in the moon or the hare in the moon is a folktale among several of those countries. And then also, I'm a big Sailor Moon fan, and Sailor Moon's name in Japanese, Usagi Tsukino, literally translates to rabbit of the moon. So it all comes back. It all comes full circle. But yeah, that's my little tribute card. For key, I really wanted it to have a little bit of whimsy and magic about it, so I decided to attach some wings to the key, which, winds up being inspired by a little bit by Harry Potter. And look, that book got me through some really, really terrible times. That series, I was in the middle of leaving the Jehovah's Witness cult whenever I picked up that series, or right before I left. But I was waking up from the cult programming, is the point. And yeah, its themes of like unconditional love really, really made me sob, and gave me a little bit of hope. And so even though I don't support the author and her toxic, turfy bullshit, I still, the imagery means a lot to me. So yeah. For fish, we basically have like a taiyaki ice cream fish dessert sort of situation. I don't know if you've ever had these. I haven't had one per se quite like this, but I love getting the little fish ice creams from like H Mart, where it's like a soft waffly type of fish structure, and then on the inside of it, it's stuffed with like whatever flavor of ice cream, and then often like sweet red bean paste. It's so delicious. Makes me feel on top of the world. And so, yeah, for a card about plenty and, having a lot, I thought an overflowing, like essentially fish ice cream cone would be a really fun way to illustrate that. And this was the first card I drew for the deck. Because this deck was, it was originally going to be like a reworked version of my black salt and pink sugar Lenormand decks. But then with this card, it was like, no, I want to be my own thing. And who am I to argue with that? That would be wrong. It would be morally reprehensible for me to argue with that. Here we have Anchor, which is very classic, very traditional. I included the bits of floating seaweed to try and convey that, yes, this anchor has been dropped and is keeping us stabilized. Here's the other really big change in the deck. So instead of Cross, we have Burden, featuring the Tamagotchi toy, which, maybe your kids had these whenever they were younger, or maybe you yourself had one of these when you were younger, or you're just getting into it now as they're making a bit of a comeback. These little devils were the worst. Basically, if you don't know what they are, imagine those the school project where you'd have to like take an egg home and try to take care of it, pretending it's a baby, make sure it doesn't crack, blah, blah, blah. And I think later they made dolls that would like cry when they needed to be fed and whatnot. This is like that if it was, I don't know, invented by a sadist. These things were the worst. They're so cute, so cool, and they would never stop beeping at you to be fed or to have their poop cleaned or to be given medicine because they got sick or to be played with. They were the worst. I don't know why they became so popular, but I have a special place in my heart for them. As we often do with nostalgic stuff that is maybe was a bit of a pain back in the day, but we can still look back on fondly because it makes you think of childhood. So yeah, they've got their little horns because they're virtual pets, essentially. So the little virtual pet has little devil horns because it's a little devil and you want to kick it in the face sometimes. And then the top of it says, oof, because that's how you feel dealing with these things. It's like, oof, I thought I was done. I thought I was in the clear and you're beeping again. And here we have the two remaining significator cards, Player 3 and Player 4. And like I said, these are all based on controllers, specifically Nintendo Switch controllers. So this is our summer-themed one. We have the shoreline, the beach, we have birds flying in the background, and we have a little beach umbrella. And then for Player 4, we have a maple leaf pattern with this like really, really nice autumnal ombre. So yeah, I've been using this deck a lot, and I've just been enjoying the shit out of it. It just wrapped on Kickstarter a few days ago as of filming this. I'm so excited for it to get out there and be in people's hands and to see you all work with it. I'm just over the moon with the reception it's gotten. So thank you so very much for that. This deck is extremely beginner friendly. I know there are a couple changes, as I've said, from the traditional cards that you'd find in, more of the old school Lenormand decks, but I really do explain everything in this booklet as for why changes are made. I still walk you through how to read the cards, I think you'd be set. I think this would make a really cool first Lenormand deck. And I wish I would have had something like this when I started out that at least had like a chunky little booklet. Because I think if we're going to start learning a new system, and I'm talking about learning a new system a lot because not a lot of people that I've experienced at least read Lenormand. I feel like we have a lot of tarot and oracle, but when we get into like Lenormand, Kipper, Sibila, these things don't have as much popularity. And so I'm assuming maybe if you're watching this, maybe you don't read with Lenormand yet. And for me at least, choosing what deck I'm going to start learning a system with really comes down to, can I find one that is cute enough or my aesthetic enough that I will want to pick it up and get to know it? And for me, that was the Seeker's Lenormand by Andy Swartz, Skull Garden from Wooden Tarot, Pathfinder's Oracle, all that. Fabulously clever, beautiful Lenormand deck. Did not come with a book, which, it doesn't have to. There are other resources out there now. But at the time, I wasn't sure how to do anything. It took me a very long time to read. So I would have killed to have had like a cute little chunky guidebook that broke everything down really simply to understand. So anyway, enough of me sales pitching my cute little deck. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this walkthrough of the Lilac Lenormand. If you're interested in getting a copy for yourself, I will put the shop link in the video description below. So yeah, if you're a Lenormand fan, if you're curious about Lenormand, any of those things, please share your thoughts. I want to know what your favorite decks are. I would love to know what your first deck was, what deck or book really helped you to learn the system. For me, things started clicking a lot more with Rana George's Essential Lenormand book. And then also for the purposes of research, I just picked up the cute little Lenormand and its little, guidebook it comes in. Fabulously done. Fabulously done. So we're going to talk about that in a video really soon. We're going to have an introduction to Lenormand video, as well as recommended decks for Lenormand beginners, both indie and mass market, so that you can find something attractive and accessible to you. And then also I would love to do a Lenormand reading methods video. So that's all going to be coming. It's all in the works. And yeah, I'm excited to see some more Lenormand love flourish in our little group here. So stick around for that. And yeah, thanks again for hanging out with me. Have a beautiful rest of your day. And until next time, bye-bye.